everybody, this is Mary Beth with stampinwithmb.com. Thanks for joining me today. I have a little bit of a passion. I used to be a trainer in my corporate life. As a matter of fact, I'm still in corporate, but now I'm a project manager as well as an avid stamper. So I love to help people understand the context for learning something new. And I'm also, in that process oriented, like to break things down step by step so people easily understand how to accomplish something like a new hobby. Let's say that new hobby is stamping. Anyway, Stampin' Up has come up with a series of sets that are geared towards somebody who's never stamped before. And it's called, the concept is quick and easy stamping. And today I'm going to show you how to get started with one of the stamp sets so that you could easily get going with one order that will give you several elements that are going to help you get going with your first cards. Just think of all the money you're going to save when you're able to make your own, and how proud you're going to be when you have actually done something with your hands, you've created something. There is nothing better in the whole entire world than when you get a handmade card from someone you love. Now you can do that too. So today, to get started, we are going to start with this set called Celebrate with Cake. And so the card we're going to make today is this lovely guy from the stamp set that I just showed you. It's easy, 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 and there are going to be alternatives that I show you as well. But the best thing is that if you actually get a hold of these products, you follow my video, you too will be able to start making your own greeting cards. Let's get going. So before we get started stamping, I wanted to show you a screenshot from the Quick and Easy Stamping brochure. This explains what you need to start making a simple card using the Celebrate with Cake stamp set. It's one of several very, very easy stamping suites that will help you get started in making your own cards. So with one number, I can order everything that I need, which would be the Celebrate with Cake stamp set. You can see the stamps up here, and here are the images that you will get. A clear block, and that block is an acrylic block that you stick your stamp on. You'll get 2 stamp pads, which is a great deal. You'll get Flirty Flamingo and Granny Apple Green. And then you'll also get 20 blank note cards with envelopes, another great deal. So you can make 20 birthday cards, and I'm going to show you lots of different examples at the end, though we're only going to make one card today. But you can make all sorts of things with just this one simple little purchase, and it will get you going and off and running into stamping. And who doesn't need a birthday card? So to start, we're going to use one of our note cards that is actually an 8.5 by 5.5 piece of paper scored at 4 1/4. You can make these yourself if you've got the paper. We're going to use our D block. We are going to use our cake stamp, which I'm going to lay right on my block. You can see that right there. So I have an old style Flirty Flamingo stamp pad, and I've got a newer stamp pad, new and improved stamp pad in Granny Apple Green. I'm going to use this one until it dies, and then I'll replace it and get the new stamp pad style. But let's start off with Flirty Flamingo. So underneath my card base, I'm going to put something cushy, and I'm using a Stampin' Up Pearson mat. You can also use fun foam that you can get at one of the hobby stores. So that's a nice alternative. So I'm going to take my Flirty Flamingo ink, and I'm going to take my cake image that has been already inked up in Flirty Flamingo, and I am going to press it down in the middle of my paper. Now, this acts kind of like, the way you want to look at it is almost like a suction cup. You want to make sure that every part of the stamp makes contact with the paper so that voila, you get a nice image. One little tip is you always want to have something to clean your stamp. Now you could go run to the sink and wash that off with water and dry it off. I'm using a baby wipe, or there are lots of other options that you can use. We'll put that away, and on top of our cake we would like some candles. So I've got my Granny Apple stamp pad, and I'm going to take my first candle that we're going to place. I've tapped the ink, and because it's photopolymer, I can see where I'm stamping. And I always stamp in the middle first so that I can have good placement. Now notice I've got some ink on the side of my block, but I'm going to be able to avoid getting that on my paper because it is higher than my stamp, so it will not get on as long as I'm careful. So now we've got our second set of images on our stamp, and then we are going to get our third one, which is the stamp Celebrate with Cake. Now what's nice about this block that comes with this set is it's big enough for this image. So I have inked up my Celebrate with Cake, and here I've got a little bit of ink on my block. I want to make sure that I don't get that on my paper, so I've wiped it off with my baby wipe. And with my two pinkies, I'm kind of lining up where I want Celebrate with Cake. I'm going to put that down and once again give it a good press and lift off. And there I have the front of my card. Inside of my card, we are going to open up our card base, and in my Granny Apple Green, I'm going to tap my ink with Sending You. And then what do you think we're going to send? We're going to send some love. So on my block, I am placing my hearts. My hearts on my block. I am going to ink them up in Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to, this is going to be a little different. We're going to stamp our hearts, and then I can ink them up again. And again. And that leaves a really nice message that we are sending love for this birthday card. Now for our envelope. We'll close this guy up. Look at that. You've got a cute little card. So for our envelope on the front, we could do this on the front or we could do it on the back. Once again, when we're stamping on our envelope, we want to make sure we avoid where the stamp is going to go. We want to avoid the area where we're going to address our card. So I'm going to put my candle back on my block. So I'm going to ink it up in Flirty Flamingo. So what's rule number 1? Clean your stamp before you move to another color, right? We don't want to get ink all over the place. So then I get my Granny Apple Green. We're going to use this twice. So we're going to stamp there. Do not rock your stamp. You don't want to create any little extra lines. I'm good at that. Just stamp a couple more. And there you have the outside of your envelope. So now, let's move our little piercing mat away. You have an ever so cute card with a sentiment on the inside and a matching envelope. So let's look at some of the ways that I have stepped up my cards a little bit. Now, this isn't sold with the bundle, but you could get some companion papers, Flirty Flamingo and Granny Apple Green. And what I did here is I created a Flirty Flamingo card base, once again 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. Then I took a piece of Granny Apple Green and I cut it down by 1/4 of an inch. I then took my stamped image and cut that down. This one's down another 1/2 inch on either side. So 1/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch on this side, that's a 1/2 inch. So this is 3 3/4 by 4 3/4 layered here. So that was the birthday card. So a little bit on the simple side and stepped up. In the suite, there are also balloon images. Now, I made this one as my first attempt, and I put a whole bunch of balloons on this card with my lots of birthday wishes. Nothing else special or fancy in this card. I don't even think I put anything on the inside. So I didn't like that quite so much. Thought it was a little bit busy. So I decided to make an alternative. And this was much simpler, where I just used a couple of the balloons. I took the green balloon, and then I did what a process called stamping off. So I stamped it, and without cleaning it, without re-inking it, I stamped another image. Then I did the same on the other side. So these are 9 balloons made with Granny Apple Green and Flirty Flamingo. I then simply stamped lots of birthday wishes, and to just complete it, I added a little bow. So that's option number 2. Then option number 3 was I took the same kind of base that had a lot of balloons on it, and instead what I did is I put it on a Granny Apple Green base. Once again, 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I layered on a piece of Flirty Flamingo that was cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, adhered that down. Then I took a piece of Whisper White, which was actually could have come from my card base that I'd stamped all my balloons on, and this became 3 3/4 inches by 5 inches, and layered that on top. I then stamped out my lots of birthday wishes, cut that out, and adhered that with a product we call dimensionals. So you can purchase these also from me. These are from Stampin' Up, and they are a little foam piece with sticky on both sides. Obviously there's some paper protecting it while it's in the sheet. And you stick this to the back of an item that is cut out, and it lifts it up. So if you can see, even though I've got a little bit of ink on it, that I have popped up that little image. The last card that I made used the tulips, the mailbox, some balloons, a bird, and it's your day. So there was a lot going on here, but what I did was I stamped the green leaves. So I stamped them once, the stem with the leaves in my Granny Apple Green, and then I stamped off. Without re-inking, I just stamped off a little off center from the original image. So I did that across the bottom of my paper. I then took my tulip image and I stamped off. Stamped and stamped off. Stamped and stamped off. So that made the base. I took my mailbox and actually I inked it up, and I just wiped off some of the bottom of the ink so I didn't have quite as long a post. Stamped him. Stamped a little bird. Stamped some balloons. This is a full-strength Flirty Flamingo. Stamped off once. Didn't ink up at all, then stamped off again a second time. So it looks like 3 different colors, but it was really only one press into the ink and stamped 3 times. I then stamped It's Your Day. On the inside, I stamped some more little birds, put some party hats on them, and said lots of birthday wishes. With that guy, I actually stamped the back flap of my envelope with some birds and some party hats as well for another matching card and envelope set. To step it up a little bit and do it a little bit differently, I stamped my mailbox, then I stamped hearts, 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 hearts all over my white piece of paper. This piece of paper actually measures 3 3/4 by 5 inches, and it is adhered to a Granny Apple Green base, which was 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. I took a piece of white Whisper White paper. So if you were using a white card base, you could make the white, you could use 1/2 of the card base to make the front of the card, and the second half of the card base cut down a little bit by 1/4 inch. So it's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and stamped with lots of birthday wishes. And the lots of birthday wishes, a little tip for you, always stamp that first before you adhere your piece of paper. Because if you make a boo-boo, you can always flip the piece of paper over and restamp and get a nice clean image. So that was that card. And matching envelope, all I did was stamp some hearts in the bottom and stamp some hearts on the back flap of the envelope. So what did we accomplish here today? Number one, we made a whole bunch of birthday cards out of one stamp set, 2 inks, some card bases, and a couple little tools to get this done. Some of them I stepped up, some were just simple stamping, but even better, we all know, and the studies have said, if you start crafting, if you start using your hands and you start doing something that's not screen related, it's healthy for your brain. You have something beautiful to show, and it wasn't expensive at all. So I hope my wish for you is that you are comfortable with getting started stamping. Know that you can make a very, very minimal investment, make something beautiful, and save some money to boot. Please watch my series on simple stamping. I've got some more products coming, and I'll be showing how you can take advantage of these simple products to make some beautiful cards to send to your friends. So thanks so much for joining me and watching this video today. I hope it's inspired you to think about starting to stamp. If you're interested in getting going, please don't hesitate to go to my website at www.stampinwithmb.com, and there you'll see my blog. You'll see a shop here button which you can hit. You'll also see the tutorial for how to make this card. You'll see the products in there, and if you hover over any of the product numbers and just hit the button, it will take you to my online store. How easy could that be? Anyway, I know you're thinking about it. You're deciding, oh, I don't want to do that. I've got kids. I got so many other things going on. But if you just need a little time to yourself, if you want to create something special, if you need to make that last minute card for one of the kids going off to a birthday party, consider picking up this set and getting going with the lovely, lovely, lovely hobby of stamping. And stamping with Stampin' Up, even better. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.